Medley Espinoza, a Palestinian, says she was fired from Apple's Lincoln Park, Chicago location for being outwardly Palestinian on March 6. After the events of October 7th, Espinoza wore her keffiyeh, a traditional Palestinian headdress, to work. She says she spoke with a team leader about wearing one prior to coming in, to ensure she was not going against Apple Store's policies. She was assured she wasn't, but soon after, the harassment and surveillance began, according to her and corroborated by former coworkers. According to Espinoza, if her cultural scarf didn't cover her Apple logo or anything that would imply she's not an Apple employee, she was told she would not be in violation of the store's uniform policy. But a month into Israel's most recent bombardment of Gaza, she says a manager at the Chicago location began to harass her for wearing Palestinian garments like the keffiyeh, Save Gaza, and watermelon bracelets.
And I asked multiple managers there if there would have been an issue with me wearing this during my workday. The answer was no, unless it's covering my Apple logo, anything of that nature that would show that I'm not an Apple employee. Everything is fine. It's to their discretion. So after they told me to stop wearing it, the kufiya, I stopped wearing it. But then I went, hey, can we wear jewelry? Is that okay? And she goes, yes. But I guess she saw that we had strengthening numbers. She saw that like literally more than 40 people at a time were wearing these bracelets that said Save Gaza and stuff like that.
Apple has told employees that wearing the Palestinian scarf is too political and creates a harmful environment, according to several of their current and former employees. The employees also said the tech giant claims Espinoza broke business conduct, but Espinoza, along with a press release from Apple's for ceasefire, says she was terminated without any written warnings. She was put on retaliatory documented coaching for wearing the scarf, but Espinoza said Apple continually refused to present her with the policies she was violating, going as far as to say policies did not have to be in writing to be enforced. Despite not being the only one to wear Palestinian presenting items, as of press, Espinoza says she's the only employee at the Lincoln Park location who was fired. According to employees, the show of solidarity from a large number of Espinoza's coworkers caused one of the store's leaders to call a team meeting on one of the busiest retail days of the year, Black Friday, to scold employees and inform them that wearing the bracelets could lead to disciplinary action.
People were upset because they were like, what? We had people wearing the Ukraine pin, the Ukrainian flag. We had people wearing the Pan-African flag, obviously, because when BLM peaked, BLM was a movement before, but when it peaked, and of course, actually, Tim Cook himself wrote a whole email to every Apple employee addressing racism.
But an Apple manager in California, who requested to stay anonymous for fear of retaliation, says the company and its CEO have taken the side of the oppressor this time. Since Israel's increased aggression against Palestinians began last October, the company has taken down a Muslim Slack channel, and Tim Cook sent out a biased email with the subject line Israel, and he did not mention Palestine or its indigenous population, according to several former and current employees. Instead, Apple employees in leadership roles across the United States have come down hard on other workers who show any amount of solidarity with Palestinians, according to the anonymous Apple manager. I was wearing my keffiyeh, and I was told by my market leader and our human resources that I was not allowed to wear my cultural garment at all, and it was unsafe to wear it due to the political stance and climate that it addresses, the anonymous Apple manager told Palestine in America. And I was told I could only wear it to and from work, not allowed to wear it on breaks and lunches. After calling a case at work, I have been able to work with a pro Palestinian HR employee within Apple to help push our focus and resolve the work environment. But according to the California manager, his case is a rare example of empathy being shown towards Palestinians or people that support their cause. He says there are too many examples of people being written up, threatened with termination, or even being fired like Espinoza was. Andres Guzman, an operations specialist at the Apple store in Lincoln Park, who also wore a keffiyeh and Palestinian jewelry, has not been fired, but said he has witnessed an increased amount of surveillance and scrutiny for being outspoken about Palestinian human rights. Which is why more than 200 current and former Apple employees signed an open letter requesting Tim Cook and executive leadership end their silence on the violence happening in Gaza. The campaign, Apples for Ceasefire, says it wants to create mass global attention to Apple's anti-Palestinian rhetoric and behavior even before October 7th.
I'm very upfront with the language that people use, and I just confront them about it. And, and I basically said that if Apple wants to talk about both sides, why isn't the word Palestine in there? Why didn't our CEO Tim Cook say the words Palestine? Why can't I go on Google Maps? Why can't I find Palestine? Why when I type in Palestine I can't find it on Apple Maps?
Guzman said he felt comfortable taking a stand because he had already been on Apple's radar as a troublemaker for his attempt to organize a union at the retail tech giant. He said he had been pulled aside by Apple's management 31 times since 2022. So speaking up for Palestine came naturally and without fear of retribution. Another current Apple employee located in Seattle, who also requested to be anonymous, told Palestine in America he was forced to remove a Palestinian flag pin last year. He complied, but has worn his keffiyeh to work every day since. He has not been reprimanded for doing so. The current and former Apple employees that Palestine in America spoke with came to similar conclusions about the tech company. It is complicit in the occupation of Palestine, and that's why they are outwardly pro-Israel. Apple has its second largest research and development center in occupied Palestine. The company has also invested millions of dollars into the Israeli economy and propped up Zionists by inviting Anti-Defamation League to speak to its employees, according to the Apple for Ceasefire campaign. Palestine America reached out to Apple for comment, but have not received a response.